asked to say a few words. For those of you who do not know me, you may be asking yourself, why am I up here? You are not alone. Those that do ask me, do know me, are asking themselves the same question. At this particular time, I'm asking myself. My name is Mark Fergone, and I've had the honor of knowing Jamie for nearly half my life. And just over 5 years ago, when I met Simon, our first year at business school, never could have I expected to be here in Grafton, Vermont, celebrating this day and this marriage. But life is full of wonderful surprises. Jamie and I went to university together, Notre Dame. Although most of our friendship developed in the years that followed, living in New York City, we matured into adults, although Jamie was far more graceful in her maturation than I. As I look around this chapel and see many familiar faces from our old New York City gang, I know we all admired Jamie's intelligence, work ethic, ambition, but what we valued in her so much more was her humanness, her realness, her sense of humor, and her ability to care. Despite her tremendous accomplishments, both professional and personal, Jamie has never let it go into her head. She's always retained her humility. Jamie is as comfortable in a boardroom in front of a board of directors as she is at some of the worst dive bars. The Drift Inn, Village Idiot, or dare I say, the Final. In my own life, and I suspect I speak for all of Jamie's friends, Jamie has always been the best of sounding boards. The kind of listener that is not judgmental, and yet who always, lovingly, will tell you, you screwed up. As I mentioned, I went to business school with Simon. To be honest, I don't really remember the circumstances of our first interactions or how our friendship began to grow. Given we had few shared interests and greatly differing academic aptitudes, I'm beginning to question Simon's judgment. Simon brought to our friendship a robust intelligence, a fresh sense of humor, a worldly perspective, and raw leadership potential. And I brought, I guess, other stuff. Simon is an odd man. Although he would certainly prefer the word Renaissance man. Simon was the editor of our business school newspaper. He was the captain of our soccer or football team, Team Commonwealth. And while we didn't win, Simon did make some great t-shirts. Simon ran the Las Vegas Marathon, although I might add he didn't finish, because at about mile 20 he realized he was late for his flight, so he got a taxi cab. Simon's now published a book, and if you haven't seen Simon's paintings, well, he's close to cutting the ear off. Later tonight, Simon will be displaying his latest cultivated talent by singing the Star-Spangled Banner at the hotel. But notwithstanding his eclectic and perhaps intimidating interests, when I think of Simon, I smile and laugh. Not at him, but perhaps with him at him. Simon is one of those rare people in your life. When you're going to get together, you know you'll just be laughing the whole time. So one fateful October afternoon, just about 3 years ago, these two worlds converged. Simon came down to San Francisco to visit me, and as is necessary on an October autumn afternoon, Simon and I went to Harry's Bar to watch a Notre Dame-Stanford football game. I'd normally call it an Irish football game, but for Simon's sake, we'll call it Notre Dame. Jamie at the time lived down the street from me in San Francisco, and she came out to watch the game as well, as we often did together. Admittedly, I think the confluence of Harry's and Notre Dame football is far more potent than even Cupid's best shot. But at that moment, Jamie and Simon met over a couple Bloody Marys and Budweisers. I'm sure it was Simon extolling the virtues of Budweiser's Beechwood aging process that was the catalyst for sweeping Jamie off her feet. But he did. Later that night, about 4 tequila shots later, Simon, undoubtedly clear-headed and able-minded, asked me, "Mark, would you mind if I tried to kiss Jamie?" I said, "Not at all. Give it your best shot." To which Simon responded, "Good, because I already did." So Simon today, with rich irony, you must wait until I say. Since that day, over the past 3 years, I've had the pleasure of watching this relationship grow. As you know, Simon recently published a book on project management. Well, I think the early phases of that relationship served as his breeding ground for best practices in the matter. Simon meticulously kept not a diary, but a spreadsheet, chronicling all associated events. This adorable spreadsheet listed all the weekends that Jamie was available so that they could optimize their time together. Jamie, of course, is the one who told me that. And she added, "Well, he's not playing hard to get." But Jamie was noticeably smitten. Some of the more memorable anecdotes from this courting phase. On one of their first dates, Simon and Jamie stayed in and watched a DVD at his apartment. Sounds customary, except for the fact that Simon's apartment consisted of one fold-out chair and a bed, and no television. When I asked Jamie how it was possible to stay in and watch a DVD movie at his place, she informed me they sat on the bed and watched the DVD on his laptop. In Simon's words, it was awesome. One of the first meetings of Jamie and Simon's parents, the four went to a San Francisco Giants baseball game. As would be customary, at least in America, Simon's mom and dad ordered a beer, as did Jamie. "Simon, I'll have a hot chocolate." And of course, the time I visited Jamie and Simon in Seattle and noticed some absurd-looking art plastered all over the walls. Jamie informed me they were Simon's paintings. Simon asked if I wanted to buy one. The orangest one is $75 and the more depressing one is $35. Not being the most astute on this particular period or movement, I asked what the rationale for the price difference was. Simon said, "Well, I used more paint on the other one, so it cost me more money to make. I used the cost-plus method of evaluating art. It's quite unique to me." Jamie, I don't know how you do it. All I can say is seeing these two around each other, how happy they make each other. They deeply admire and respect each other. They nearly perfectly complement each other. But most importantly, they make each other the happiest I've ever seen either of them. Simon, thank you for making Jamie so happy. Jamie, thank you for making Simon so happy. I wanted to finish by imparting some words of guidance on marriage, not considering myself a thought leader on the matter. I pulled together two other friends, Mark Cepeda and Mike Sargent. That too proved unsuccessful. I looked at the Bible, talked to my parents, and searched the internet. Using Bing, Simon. Using Microsoft Bing. So I turned to an over-quoted book in present circles, Strategic Portfolio Management by Simon Moore. The book that Simon dedicated to Jamie. Unfortunately, the chapter on Our Love is Like a Gantt Chart was far too suggestive and racy for this dignified and pristine chapel. So I came across another wildly successful book, Tuesdays with Maury. As many of you familiar with the story, Maury is a sick, aging professor discussing some of the most human issues with a former pupil of his in his final months. On marriage, Maury said, "There are a few rules I know to be true about love and marriage. You must respect the other person. You must know how to compromise. You must talk openly about what goes on between you. You must have a common set of values. The biggest rule is you must believe in the importance of marriage. With these words in mind, I have the utmost confidence in your relationship and wish you the best in your shared journey ahead of you. Maury finished his thoughts with, love each other or perish. Simon and Jamie continue to love each other as everyone gathered here in this Spring Chapel loves you. Thank you for the gift of yourselves